Welcome to the prelims portion of episode 170, the Beefy Boys Breakdown, where we go over every single fight on every single card, recapping UFC 302. Like I said, we're talking about the prelims right now. Not a lot of standout moments on these prelims. I ate shit on my Phil Rowe hot take. Jailton Almeida. We got to talk about the card placement.
What
Dana
the
White,
fuck? How is he on the prelims and Morono is on the main card? That shit was mind-blowing.
They swapped that, and then like 2 days before the fights on my verdict app, because I opened it up and it said I had like one fight I hadn't made a pick for, and I was like, yeah, I did, and I was like, because they swapped it.
I was gonna say they did that fight week too, because if you watch the embedded, Nico Price on there, he's like, yeah, I found out we're on the main card, so that's pretty sweet, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm sleeping, and Morono and Price have like more fans than I know of.
Fuck no,
I've never met one. Yeah, that was weird. That was just really weird. Like, I get it that Almeida fights aren't usually the most electric thing ever, but like regardless, he's a top 5. Like basically your only heavyweight prospect worth of shit.
Kind of more of a Romanov fade, maybe, because the guy showed up so fucking out of shape and so shitty looking.
That's actually real.
Because he literally moved it like within the week of the fight, and it's like people started seeing Romanov and were like, "Who the fuck is this plumber?"
We talked about that on our betting show. That he looked like a young Tom Segura when he was like fat and gross.
Dude, the Romanov fade is like crazy right now, like crazy. And the way he defends rear naked chokes is actually sick. He just uses his neck fat. That's actually sick until it doesn't work.
Oh man, jerking the curtain here. We got debutant Mitch Raposo, only 25 years old. This was our AI bet of the week. We got to integrate these power rankings.
I got to talk to AI about Mitch Raposo and why the fuck it ever thought he was good. Dude, the guy was just like scared by the feints the whole fight. Like Lima, honestly. This is a split decision. And one judge scored rounds 1 and 2 to Raposo. 2, I can make that case.
Yeah, I gave 2 to Raposo, but I had the words like close in all caps. Like I thought it was like basically a coin flip round.
Literally saying the takedown kind of iced 2 for Raposo. Like that's literally why I gave him 2, is because he showed you the ability to get a takedown.
You know what? Hindsight, in the moment when this was a split decision, I thought it was like egregious, and it did kind of. Hey, they're trying to get you got a little bit of it.
I see it. Don't worry, I'm saving it.
Okay, hell yeah, a little flavor saver. But yeah, bro. So distracted, got me flustered, dog. But yeah. So in the moment, I thought the split decision was horseshit. But you know what? Looking back on it, I still disagree with it. But it's like Lima has nobody to like really blame but himself. He just like. Would do kind of just enough, but not like really put a stamp on it. It's just like when Strickland lost the Cannonier decision. It was like, yeah, I disagree with it, but also you didn't really do yourself any favors.
Yeah, you got to go out and win the fight. Like you got to do the stuff to win the fight. To your point, man, this was my biggest takeaway from the prelims as an overarching theme was that guys that had the ability to take more control of the fights that they won did not. Like I saw that over and over where it was like, man, I'm being underwhelmed by this performance.
Also, did you not find it weird that like just the Joe Rogan ball wash on Andre Lima?
It was crazy. The Joe Rogan ball wash for the early prelims was crazy. He picked a fighter in each of the first 3 fights and was just washing nuts. It was absurd, dude.
Like Lima looked decent, right? Like he didn't look bad, but he didn't look like
Raposo just looked like he was a fidgety weird kid.
And like Joe Rogan was like, "Oh, this striking we're seeing from Lima is world class." I think he used the word world class, and I was just like, "What are we doing here?" Like world class, all right. Like Urseg, sure. Like when the first time we saw Urseg when Urseg was young, like all right, this looks to be world class, and we were proven right. But like,
or like Sandhagen setting traps and like flying knees mixed with spinning back fist with like 1-2s. Like, yeah, that's world class. Lima throwing 20 leg kicks to win a round? No, nuh-uh.
like Kai Kara France, his power for the weight class is world class. Like Joe Rogan was like, oh, we're seeing high level striking technique here from Andre
Bro,
Lima. Like,
you know
like
what?
are
You know what? I'm fading Lima, and here's why. Missed weight by 5 pounds. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah,
that shit's crazy. He was
crazy.
literally the same distance from his weight class to the next one up. That's unacceptable. Raposo took the fight because he's just a hungry bitch. Like, he just needs the fight. And I get it. Like, you're not in the UFC. You're going to get a second fight. It makes sense. But, like, dude.
Chance, too, because he has an L on Tough to a can, and he has an L on Dana White Contender Series as well. Mitch Raposo was 0-2 on, like, UFC-affiliated promotions.
Yeah, he understood the moment, which is, like, you sign short notice, you do get a second chance. You always get that. It's 2-fight contract. So, not a terrible decision. However, based on the fight he put forth, the UFC is not going to give him a favorable matchup. And then as well, the overarching point that I was going to get to is that, dude, Severino was beating Lima until, like, Lima grabbed the fence 4 times in their fight, and I still had Severino up at the point at which he bit him. So it's like,
funny. It's funny that you mentioned that.
Lima's not showing me a lot.
Like in my power rankings, I still have Severino in there. I have that he cut,
was beating him.
I had to keep him above Lima because he was beating him. Exactly. I think he did something very, very dumb, but I think he's better than Lima. I really do.
It was almost like he was winning and got frustrated that the cheating wasn't, like, being acknowledged while he was still winning and just, like, freaked out in the moment. Like, if Igor Severino doesn't bite him, he wins the fight. I genuinely believe that.
That being said, Lima's 25 years old. He's now 9-0.
I like the guy, but he's still raw. He's young and still a little raw. Like, I think he's going to be very good when he's 29. I think right now I'm a little up and down on him.
Like Tim Elliott fucks him up, right? Like even old Tim Elliott. Like he's not in that tier. Yeah, I do have him in the Kuzi tier. I moved him.
Yeah, like I think he has legit UFC quality and skill and has a good floor, and I think he has a much higher ceiling than what we're being shown.
33 in a division with 48 guys, so like
that's about right.
Like,
that's about right.
Yeah,
that's about right.
And then, but Raposo on the other hand, I think is an actual can. I have him 43 above Dennis Bondar and below Benicio Salvador. Like I think he's a can. And usually, guys in their debut, I don't usually relegate him to can tier.
Yeah, but the DWCS, the tough. I mean, the body of work is 0-3. Like we get it. That's a can.
He's a small guy. Yeah, he's a king. Let's keep it pushing here. We got what we were sold was a grudge match, a blood match. Still was snoozy, even with all the bad blood. Eileen Perez, minus 205, taking on Jocelyn Edwards, plus 170. Apparently they got into it at the UFC Apex, and like I think Eileen
Perez's coach choked out Edwards unconscious,
Weird deal there.
It's not a great look.
And they apparently hated each other and then came out and fought like a boring fight. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have high expectations for this fight, but I scored a 30-27 Perez.
Did this fight give you like street fight vibes? Because it would just be like not the most technique from either girl, and then it would just be like some like powerful explosive move to get a takedown, and then a reversal, and then another reversal, and then a scramble that led to a takedown again, and it was like, this just feels like I'm watching something on like fucking Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like a street fight.
This is exactly what I thought it was, and it was mid on mid. Like neither of these girls
are fans. Yeah,
neither
of these girls
are great. Just mid on mid.
You know what they both showed? They both showed the ability to understand how to initiate positions, but not how to control positions, if that makes sense. Like,
oh, for sure. The control. And this fight made me appreciate control. We always talk about, we'll get to it on the copy law fight, like, oh, control is snoozy. But there is an art to it, because this is what it looks like when somebody can't control the other person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is one where it's like, if the technique
like,
is low enough, yeah. Like, Islam and Khabib, like, say whatever you want. It can be boring, but, like, it's boring because they're so fucking good. This is a fight where it's like, neither girl is really that good, so it's really... It's interesting for the wrong reasons.
Yes. I think that was my problem, because you're right. It wasn't the most snoozy fight, but it was kind of low level. It just like wasn't great to watch. Like if I was watching this fight at like my local King of the Cage promotion, sure, that would be sick. But like on a UFC pay-per-view, Not so much. What did they give Jocelyn Edwards round one? I had a 30-27 Perez. What round did Edwards win on two scorecards? Round one, the reversals.
Really interesting, man. Really interesting. I scored round 3 to Edwards. Keep in mind, I thought it was just
really.
Yeah, I thought super close. I thought that like she actually got more active and matched the damage from Perez, which she hadn't done in either of the previous 2 rounds. So I scored it for Edwards. You know, I had it 2018 to Perez at that point anyway, so it didn't necessarily matter, and maybe that played a factor in it in my scoring, which it shouldn't, but maybe. But yeah, one judge gave 2 to Edwards, one judge gave 3 to Edwards. So like there was a route by which Edwards could have potentially won this fight.
My favorite round for Edwards was round 1. If I was going to give her one gun to my head, I had to give her one round.
In 2, she's on top, she's controlling, and then headbutts her and loses position.
No point deduction on the headbutt was
crazy,
wild, especially
crazy in like a bad blood kind of match where like you're looking for those kind of fouls.
Like especially how we just lost that parlay with the bullshit Carnelosi headbutt.
Who do you think was the ref in this fight?
Was it the same person? No way.
Gasper Oliver, yeah. That's why he didn't take a point. He didn't know to.
That was really bad. Like, lose position for a headbutt, like, that's not even a thing. Like,
yeah, this Gasper Oliver guy, like, cannot be reffing fights anymore, man. Like, he's actually fucking fights off.
That was very egregious. Yeah, Perez got the win. Threw up a couple spots and dropped, Edwards a couple spots. There's no way that either one of them might go on a run.
This once again is our breakdown on this, dude. Our breakdown was really good in retrospect. Like if you go back and listen to our breakdowns of the fights, we really painted these pretty accurately. Minus some of the people that we picked to win that still won, just not being as resoundingly good as we thought they might be. That being said, we broke this down as, or at least I did, as like OnlyFans tier versus Can tier. And I'll put the OnlyFans tier near Kuzi. So for me, that's why... And I had read these odds backwards originally, so I thought Eileen Perez was plus 195, and I was like all fucking over it. At minus 205, I didn't love it. Like, honestly, could have been a no bet. But made sense as far as the odds. Like, I agreed with the odds, and that's why it was a no bet.
Basically was a no bet because we didn't bet our money on it. And also, like, I have Eileen Perez right below Melissa Gatto. Speaking of headbutt, bring the conversation full circle. I don't see Eileen Perez beating Melissa Gatto.
No, I like Gatto more. I like Gatto more, for sure. Like, I think Perez is hard stuck Kuzi OnlyFans tier.
And then Jocelyn Edwards, I dropped her down with the Melissa Mullins and Arena Alexivas of the world. Like, she's a strong girl. She's an athletic girl, but just does nothing that makes you kind of take note or, show respect. Like, what is Jocelyn Edwards good at? Like, I've watched her fight like 5 or 6 times, and I couldn't tell you like what she does best. Like,
Jocelyn Edwards does everything at about a 3 out of 10, which makes her a can. Like, that's my honest assessment. That's why I've had her as a can. Like, I think her power.
I have her as a koozie. I have her as a koozie just because, like, I think of like the Pudilovas of the world, the Ashley Evans Smiths, the fucking Montserrat Rendon. Like, I think there's an Lena Landsberg. Like, I think that there's like an actual can to it. There's some bad bantamweights.
I guess Edwards is better than those girls, but it's not far.
No, just the whole division's so bad that like the koozie tier's still really bad. But man, let's keep it pushing to like basically the only good fight on this prelims. Basil Hafez, minus 395. We got him at minus 370. Got him on our parlay. Taking on Mickey Gall, plus 310. And, man, see, I like this fight less than you did. Not because of what took place in the cage. Just because of, like, the fallout of it. The fallout is Basil Hafez isn't that good. He hits hard. He's tough. He's crazy. He's not that good.
His chin is crazy. His chin is absolutely crazy. It's what allowed him to fight JDM to such a good fight. Because, like, JDM did not expect to land the shots he landed on Hafez, and Hafez to still be there. That was proved once again. Like, Mickey Gall was landing crazy clean shots, and Hafez would just eat them and get angrier. Like, I love watching Hafez fight, but he is the shittiest version of Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, and he just, like, he has power. He has a chin. He kind of, like, sees red. He gets angry and wing combinations and bombs. And it's a tough guy, but, like, he doesn't set anything up. He doesn't really use the jab. He doesn't really have good timing or anything.
You know what?
When you watch him fight, it looks like just a low level guy. I don't know.
I think I'm gonna give a compliment to JDM that I did not at the time, which is Basil Hafez on a short notice is a really tough fight. On a full camp, he is not a tough fight. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you get to see what he does and can prepare for it, not that hard. If you don't know what he does or how he fights or how tough he is, you could find yourself in a dogfight.
For example, when power ranking him, so I mean, he does get the win. We can get into the X's and O's a little bit, but I think because Mickey Gall, I mean, he takes the L here. He's probably going to get cut.
I scored 3 for Gall. I thought Gall's striking looked way better than it's ever looked before. I think he does not deserve to be in the UFC, but I think he can still be a good fighter in other organizations. Just my overall take on Mickey Gall there.
Copy paste. I echo all those same sentiments. I gave him 3. He did look a lot better, but that's my point. I think he's now 7-7.
7-6. Terrible record.
No, I think he was 7-6 before this fight, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, dog shit record. Just not UFC caliber. Is improving, but it's just too little, too late, right? You can't.
Yeah, you can't be bad for 5 years after they gave you CM Punk as your intro.
And he's gotten some favorable matchmaking. I'm Mickey Gall. But I'm also I'm not out on Hafez. It just depends on what you mean. Out on I don't think Basil Hafez will ever be ranked ever.
Agreed. I think Hafez is super fun fights though. That's an Eric Anders kind of guy at welterweight. He's just gonna be fun for a long time.
And when it came to power ranking him, it really ties in well to what you said about having a full camp to prepare for him. I couldn't jump him over Muslim Salikov. I think a guy like Muslim Salikov, an actual striker.
I think Salikov would get flatlined, personally. Just age and style.
Age would be a huge factor. Salikov's 40 years old.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And his chin just got absolutely cracked by Brown. And at 40, your chin's not recovering really the same.
Yeah, but exactly, by Brown.
Hafez hits crazy hard. He just
but he doesn't have that range Brown
well.
has. He doesn't have that range Brown has. He doesn't set things up like Brown does. He doesn't really throw kicks.
Well, Salikov's also 5'9" himself. That would actually be a close fight because the range would be the same.
But you see where I had problems jumping Hafez over him.
Oh yeah,
just because Salikov's actually technical. I can see Salikov being able to solve that very simple puzzle.
I'll put it this way. I think
out-athlete him.
You know what I think is a fun fight that Hafez wins, but is a fun fight, is Wellington Turman. I just think tough guys or Basil Hafez is that's just his fight. If it's a guy that's just going to be tough, he's probably going to win. If it's a guy that has any technique, he's probably going to lose. I think Brian Battle beats the shit out of Basil Hafez.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight a Danny Barlow, a young, fast, another athletic
Barlow
guy,
would be so fun.
Dog.
That style is awesome. That would be so awesome. Yeah. They're both athletic and powerful.
It would be sick. Or even I don't think it would be fun per se, but kind of same tier of guy, a Trey Waters. Can he solve that puzzle? Basil's strength and aggressiveness versus Waters' length and kind of reach.
You know what?
I mean, the fight might actually suck to watch. But
call me crazy, but Hafez reminds me so much of Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Yeah. I don't want to see that fight though, just because I don't think.
No. I'm just saying, the guy I'd most compare him to versus his age and at the time, he's just a real tough son of a bitch that throws real hard.
All right, hear me out. And maybe this is a hot take. I want to get your opinion on this. We can keep it pushing. I think Chidi and Joe Kawoni fucks up Basil Hafez.
Oh, no. Just disagree.
Chidi,
here's why.
He does have the loss to Oleg Sajek, which is a very similar guy to Hafez.
Exactly. Here's why. Chidi leaves too many openings in striking. Basil does, and here's why Basil can get, in striking, why it's hard to strike with him. He'll go for it, even if it means he's going to take the shot, because his chin is so crazy. He's one of those guys that's down to trade 1-for-1 with you, and a lot of guys can't do that.
See, I keep throwing out these kind of quote-unquote technical strikers. Don't you just think that one of these guys would be able to solve the puzzle?
I think
it's
like
just so simple of a puzzle.
I feel like Salikov has a good chance, but I worry about the age. Like I think Randy Brown tunes Basil Hafez up.
Yeah, but that's so many tiers above.
I agree.
I have Randy Brown like 30
Like,
rankings
okay.
above.
I think Jake Matthews and Hafez, good fight, but I think Jake Matthews wins.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I think good fight though. Like I think that's a close fight.
Jeremiah Wells would be fun.
Yes.
Kiss missile contest. Just
honestly, you could also argue that like Chaos Williams and Basil Hafez is fun just because someone's going to get knocked out.
Yeah, but give me Chaos. Though.
Yeah, no, I think Chaos is going to have a little more technique in there, but he's still like down to be wild, and that's the thing with Hafez is if you're down to match the wild, you're actually in a worse spot. Like if you'll just point fight him, you can beat him every time.
Hafez going to end up being like a better looking Brian Barberena, like a more jacked like Brian Barberena, just like a brawler, right? Like in my notes, I rarely do this. I just had to. Like I put brawler next to Hafez. Like he's just a brawler.
That's why I compared him to Ponzinibbio. Like he's just down to trade 1-for-1, and he wants to brawl. Like he wants to be in close. He wants to be winging hooks and elbows inside. Like that's the fight he wants, and he knows his chin is going to survive at least your first 2 good shots. So he's like, I'll eat your best shot to land my best shot. That's his mentality. That's not a championship mentality. I'll just put that out there as well.
No, and I just think anybody that's good at all beats Basil Hafez. I think Brian Battle beats it. Think about I think Elizio Zaleski still beats him. I think Li Jingliang would beat him. I think that Euros Medic would beat him. Dalby would beat him.
You know what Hafez is? He's like a Texas Tech spread offense. He's just trying to put the pedal to the metal and say fuck the defense.
Yeah, fuck the intricate pin down blocks.
Which that doesn't win championships, but it will win you fights if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. Let's keep it pushing to the next set of welterweights. Ton of welterweights on this card. And I gotta get out my shovel and eat some shit here. I was super bullish on Phil Rowe. I had him on a straight bet and a 2-leg parlay. Plus 140. I got him at plus 135. Taking on Jake Matthews minus 170. This was my dog of the week. I'll own that. But I gotta say, man. Round 1, I was feeling good.
All right.
Round 1, I was feeling good.
Here's what I'm going to say. I think both of our dogs of the week were extremely live in both their fights. And I think that both guys, I think EZDS kind of got fucked by the ref a little more. But
that's fair to say.
I think that Phil Rowe had a very clear path to victory here. Had he just done the same thing in round 1 as he did, or if he had done the same thing in rounds 2 and 3 as he did in round 1. In round 1, he was finding home for the right. He was pumping the double jab with the big cross behind it. And, and he honestly was doing it all at good range. And he wasn't allowing Matthews to fire off these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long combos.
Busted up Matthews' nose, had him
badly.
I
thought it was 10-9 Rowe. Without question, one judge scored the first to Matthews, which I think is fucking bananas. Like, the damage was not close. Jake Matthews was so busted up, it wasn't even close. But then it was in round 2, man, Phil Rowe just took the foot off the gas and quit throwing the right hand after he would pump the jab. It was continue with the right, brother.
I have 2 points to make. First point is, and maybe this is just this, as the kids would say, me coping. Maybe this is just me trying to find a way to cope. Did Phil Rowe break his right hand? Because he literally stopped throwing it, and it was his best weapon. It wouldn't shock me if maybe he broke his hand.
I haven't heard that. And most fighters will talk about that immediately after.
I haven't heard it, but I'm almost hoping that Rowe's actually being an old school dog and not making that excuse. But I don't know. I think wishful thinking. But my second point is that it kind of reminds me of the Sean Strickland-Dricus fight where Sean just completely abandoned the body kick that won him the first round.
I couldn't agree more. It was Rowe falling in love with his jab and thinking that the rangefinder was going to win versus the rangefinder's to find your power shot, and the power shot is what wins you the round. If you abandon the power shot, you don't get to A to C without B.
And I gotta say, there were some moments in this fight where and this is going to caveman breakdown. This is not X's and O's. I did not like the look in Rowe's eyes.
Dude, it was weird, right?
Scared shitless at points of this fight. He looked like he was losing, like he was getting out alpha basically, like right, like not X's and O's, but like looked like Jake Matthews had the bigger dong. Like,
Well,
you know what I mean?
if
Like,
you'd taken a screenshot of their faces at the end of round 2, it was Rowe looking like fuck, am I gonna lose this fight? Like he looked like you could literally see like the fear on his face, whereas Matthews was just bleeding. He was like, we're in a fucking war. It's what I want. Like it was the wrong visual if you're a Rowe fan, right? And then you go under.
You saw that.
Because like the only swelling on his face was under his left eye, but like he was looking like he was shell shocked in round 2 after the end of the round. It didn't make sense because like Matthews didn't change a whole lot. It was Rowe that changed a whole lot, which is weird to be like shocked as a fighter when you don't do the same things, but your opponent starts to have success. It's like because you're not doing the same things. Like that should be obvious to you. And then in round 3, Phil Rowe, to our point about like not believing in his own striking and being broken, shoots the takedown, gets whipped to his back, but then in our breakdown, I want to shout out our breakdown big on this. We talked about how Rowe's been doing grappling competitions. He got a 6 sweep and got on top and had 2 minutes of control before he fucked up, jumped the back and got too high, lost position. Thought he lost the round because he tried to jump for the back and go for a submission over position right there. Like honestly, if he just rides out the round controlling after the reverse in round 3, he wins the round.
And probably my straight bet cashes. Yeah,
100%.
my 2-unit straight bet. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and that's what was frustrating to me because, like, even in round 2, I wasn't even a sweaty bet because I just saw the look in Rowe's eyes. I was like, yeah, he's not winning this fight.
Yeah,
like, it literally was not a sweaty bet. Like, I was like, Jake Matthews.
It's a weird thing because as far as power rankings, like, I might sit these guys literally right next to each other.
Oh, I do. That's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did.
Right, because it's like, even though Matthews won, like, Phil Rowe lost more than Matthews won.
Yes, thank you. I feel the exact same way, and that's not even me being bitter.
I'm telling you, man. Like,
you didn't even bet this fight.
The theme of the prelims is guys underperforming when they are, like, in a position to win. Like, that is the theme of the prelims, which made it such a hard prelims to watch.
It really is. And coasting and just not going for it.
It was tough, dude. It was so tough.
Yeah, speaking of power rankings, I got Phil Rowe at 40. I have Jake Matthews at 39. I have him at the start of my koozie tier.
I'm at 41, 42, respectively. So, like, yeah, we're in the exact same position with them.
Like I can't put either one of them over like a Juice. And this is a little bit of projecting on my part, but I'd like Carlos Prates over them. I'm just like higher.
I like Prates too.
Yeah, and he actually fights next week. He's one of the. I think that's a slept-on fight. That's one for the hardcores. Nobody's really talking about it or cares about it, but I'm so stoked to watch Prates fight next week.
I also think if Prates wins this coming week, him and Hafez, very fun fight. Very fun fight.
Yeah, for sure. Which I would probably take Prates, especially if
I would too. And if he has a camp, if that's like a signed fight with 8 weeks.
And then like Jake Matthews, like I said, not going to shovel a bunch of coal. Like this is his best win he's had like 4 years. And like I said,
for me,
Phil Rowe is like
this is 40, the start of my Matthews fade. If I'm being like real as a bettor, like I'm saying this is his last good win that we're going to see out of Jake Matthews.
I started one fight too soon on my Matthews fade.
I mean, but you're not crazy because like Phil Rowe fumbled this bag. Like it wasn't Jake Matthews taking the fight; it was Phil Rowe fumbling a bag. Like that's why I'm saying the Matthews fade makes sense. Like I think we'd be smart to do that.
Jalen turned this one right down the drain. Man, yeah, I mean, I can cry on my beer a little bit more if you want to, but like, what's next for either of these guys? Who fucking cares? Jake Matthews is literally like 500 in the UFC. I think he's like 6-6 or something, like in the UFC.
You know what?
All of his record came pre-UFC.
He's a guy that showed up to the UFC, had big hype, looked good to start, and has completely fallen off. And water always finds its level, and we see his level, and it's very mid-tier, back end mid-tier.
Yeah, like I want to see them use him to build somebody. You build a Danny Barlow.
You know,
I think Radke fights this weekend. If Radke gets a win, I could see Radke fighting.
I think Radke has a hard fight.
I think Radke's who's fighting Prates, if I think about it.
You're right. Yeah. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't love this for Radke. Like, they're trying to, like, they don't like Radke. They don't like him.
Or, like, even like an Obon Elliott, like, I think I'm looking at these back end of welterweights. Like, they do not need to give Jake Matthews needs to keep fighting back. Like, I don't, like, he doesn't deserve to, like, he's not going on a run. He's not going to climb the ranks.
Are we thinking
Jake Matthews needs to
Are we thinking Phil Rowe, Reese McKee? Like, where's Phil Rowe at for you?
No, because that would be a gift to Phil Rowe. He doesn't deserve that shit. Same thing, dude. Let's get the like I don't even know like a Preston Part or no, that's who you give Basil Hopez. I think because Basil Hopez, say what you will about him, he's a dog. He ain't no quitter. He's a fucking mean some bitch. Like all the things that were said, Phil Rowe wasn't. Like we've never seen a scared look in Basil Hopez's eye, even whenever he was in there with Jack Dilla.
Bro, he'll finish Rowe just based on tenacity. Like he will be so tenacious for 15 minutes that Rowe will break and be finished.
That's what I think you do. I think right now Phil Rowe's still a bigger name than Basil Hopez. So I think
fair.
I think
that's fair.
Yeah. But man, let's keep it pushing here.
Oh, snoozer of the night. This was my snoozer of the night.
Yeah, but like to me, it was always gonna be.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I expected this one to be a snoozer.
No,
like we picked Grant. Well, we didn't bet it. We should have, but Grant Dawson by decision was a prop that we were flirting with heavily. We were giving googly eyes across the room to that prop.
We need to start going with our props, man. We're so good on props. I was looking at the percentages of props, dogs, and parlays. We're
Islam by sub.
I think we've hit 80.
Islam by sub.
I think we've hit 80.
Strickland by decision.
I think we've hit 87% of the props that we've liked this year. I mean, that's like a crazy stat.
That is, and you're getting great value on props too. We like Dawson by decision here, and that's exactly what happened. That being said, how'd you score round one? Because I think it's very subjective and very kind of interesting, kind of worth a little conversation here on the pod.
I'm glad you asked. I scored it to Dawson, but I went back and forth over and over whenever I got to the end of the round.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Dawson spent a vast majority of that round on top, but you know what did it for me? It wasn't just the Gilly attempt. He cut Dawson with an elbow from bottom. And we always say striking from bottom is like, oh, you'll never win around that way. But like, well, unless you cause the only damage of the round, and then the Gilly attempt was very deep. And I know we talked ad nauseum on this podcast about how chokes are kind of a pass-fail grade.
That's where I'm at with it. And it's like knowing that Dawson is such a good wrestler, you're not going to really guillotine a good wrestler.
I'll stay. And this is eye test. And I know Grant Dawson's a white guy. And dude, his head was purple, dog. His head was purple.
Yes,
tip of a dick.
Yes, but the reason you won't guillotine a wrestler is because that position is so commonly felt when you go for a takedown. Even in wrestling, because guys will just naturally like try to suck your head up and like grab anything when you're like lifting both their legs, right? That like you almost get used to that feeling whenever you're hitting the takedown, and you just know that if you sit there long enough and can work your hips over, it's a weird thing to even express because like I don't get nervous when someone guillotines me unless if I'm on the wrong side, I'm very nervous. But if I'm in the middle of their legs, or I can
guard, he was still in guard.
Exactly. Yeah. If I'm even in your full guard, I'm really not that nervous.
Well, I mean, fair point. It kind of comes full circle to the conversation we had earlier about the difference between like Dustin and Bolt, like just not tapping to chokes is like.
And I've been there with friends where we're just like play wrestling, right? Like like BJJ submission grappling, and it's like I've had people tell me like, dude, how'd you not tap there? And it's like because I just know that like. You're going to give up before I do in this position because I'm slowly working my hips over. I might be getting millimeters every half second, but I'm getting out.
Well, and like I said, to your point, it wasn't the Gilly that gave Selecki the round. It was the cut with the elbow.
The cut I'm hearing. The cut I'm hearing. Like, that was the most impactful moment of the round. I just thought that
and Dawson did fuck all damage-wise.
Yeah, but it was extensive control time.
It was. And I knew I would be probably in the minority, but I still had to just kind of...
I mean, a judge agreed with you. There is 129-28, and it is round one to Selecki. Now, after that, this fight is boring as fuck.
Literally 4.5 minutes of control in round two and 4 minutes of control in round three.
I mean, this fight was so boring, man.
It was... I'm not a big Grant Dawson guy. Like, even when he was undefeated, like, you always had to be like, well, yeah, he's undefeated.
Bro,
but how high are we on him, really?
We hit the nail on the head with this breakdown. Like, we hit a nail all the way through the frame. Shit was crazy. It was just going to be Grant Dawson fighting for control and position for 15 minutes and Selecki attempting subs.
And it's crazy because I didn't move Grant Dawson up at all, largely because the person I have him behind is Bobby Green, who knocked him out in the first round. So
you shouldn't move Dawson up because like he's kind of that delineating line between like next guy's up and like you're just a mid-level guy.
Yeah, because I have Grant Dawson ahead of Roundbesky and behind Bobby Green. Like I think it's hard to push back against that.
I
mean, makes sense, right? Like,
mid-level lightweights versus like next guy's up. Like, yeah, and I hate to say that for Grant Dawson, I do, but he's old. He's long. His career's long in the tooth. Like, it's not like he's old but new to fighting. Like, he's fought a long time. He's getting older. His skill set does not provide himself a top 15 ability. I don't know. Dawson's the guy that's like, we'll fill fights on a card, and me and you are gonna bet him by decision against most guys that aren't very good because that's just the trajectory of the way he fights and his fight career.
Yeah, and I had to drop Joe Selecki all the way down to 40.
I don't love Selecki, man. I just don't love that fight style.
To go lower, but like he has the win over Jim Miller, and that's who's at 41 for me. But yeah, I put him behind Rebowicz. Like I think Rebowicz, like obviously you have to avoid the subs, but like Rebowicz is higher ceiling, right? Like more dangerous guy. We've just seen it before, dude. This jiu-jitsu guard submission heavy style doesn't work. Like even Diego Lopez, who's a jiu-jitsu coach, like he doesn't even really do that. Like he throws hard shots and like just the days of like being on your back, guard heavy jiu-jitsu, like Paul Craig, that shit is out. That shit is done. Shit is over with.
I'll be honest, man. From like 93 to 2013, so a 20-year run, right? Like we're talking 31 years of the UFC. In that first 20 years, jiu-jitsu was the most important fight-changing skill set. Since then, everyone has recognized that point, and no one is bad at basic jiu-jitsu in the UFC. With that being said, if you're a jiu-jitsu specialist, you're in for a very tough time. Because there's guys that are not good at striking whatsoever. There's no guy that can't grapple at all, except for like Cesar Almeida or Robelis de Spain, like these older kickboxers that are getting in late. Like no young prospect has bad grappling. That's just not a thing.
No, especially in the men's weight classes and like I said, that should have worked on the regional scene, but like you saw it happen to like a Jimmy Flick and like what's happening to a Paul Craig, like. That shit is just
a Ryan Hall. Like you can't jiu-jitsu. You like have to be able to strike. You have to.
Like Mackenzie Dern. Like we've seen her career kind of fizzle out. Like
I mean, even Horse Meat Rodriguez. Like he's realized, like, oh, I'm not going to jiu-jitsu everyone.
Yeah, even ADCC champ Rodolfo Vieira is like, all right, I got to get on top. I got to strike. I got to ground him down.
Gilbert Burns.
He's not pulling guard.
Gilbert Burns is a back-to-back ADCC champ, and he relies more on his striking in fights now than his jiu-jitsu.
1,000%.
Jiu-jitsu at this point is icing on the cake, but the actual dough has to be base core skill set.
Actually, I'll argue that it's not icing on the cake. It's like a prerequisite. Like you gotta know how to.
It's like flour. Like we're not making this cake without it. Like sugar is striking, flour is jiu-jitsu. Like we need both. It's not an option.
Like exactly. It's not the whipped cream. And I'll tell you that much. It ain't the whipped cream. It ain't the frosting.
You know what? Sugar and flour is a good it's striking and grappling. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have both.
Yeah. But also you can't have just that.
No, that's what I mean. You can't make a cake with just flour. That's bread. You can't make a cake with just sugar. That's candy.
For sure, dude. Man, I gotta fucking take a piss, but if you want to start the Almeida intro,
I do because I want to talk about Romanov's dog shit physique. So, for anyone at home that's wondering, this is a heavyweight fight. This is Jailton Almeida, Alexander Romanov. We got Jailton honestly coming off a big loss to Curtis Blades. He's number 7, fell to 7. Had the biggest hype train in the heavyweight division for sure. Weighted at 241, he is getting bigger every fight. I believe when he started at heavyweight, he was weighing at like 225. So he is gradually getting bigger, and if we see him get to like 255, he's going to be a legitimate problem for guys. That being said, he comes into this fight minus 325, taking on number 13, Alexander Romanov, plus 260. And man, the big takeaway from this fight, and I wish it was about Almeida. It should be about Almeida. This should be like us telling you how great Almeida is at grappling and that he didn't necessarily follow what we talked about in the breakdown of being skittish and he trusted his skill set. But man, the takeaway from this fight is more so that Romanov just looked like a fat piece of shit. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. Like, I was just talking about how Almeida came off a tough loss.
Oh, my headphones were in. I heard all of it.
Yeah, so
I'm with you, dude.
Like the way this fight should have played out is Romanov should have been more aggressive and like checked the takedowns harder and just fought to defend takedowns because clearly that's all Almeida can do. Romanov did defend the first takedown, got to double overhooks, and then got tripped and taken down.
Yeah. Well, and like going back to Romanov's weight and everything, I was wondering, like, has it been that much of a change? Like, I didn't remember exactly what he weighed in
in
his debut. They brought it up on the broadcast. Like, on his debut fight, he weighed in at 249.
Yeah, I was going to say, he weighs, like, well, right now from his last fight, I think he gained 7 pounds from his last fight. But the fact that he's gained 15 pounds and it's literal fat around his body is the problem. Like, he hasn't gained any muscle. He's probably lost muscle and gained all fat.
Well, and it may be more than 15 pounds. Like, he may be cutting down to heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Like,
good point.
I test as a guy who played football, like, he looks like a 300-pound guy, right? Like, you've been around a lot of 300-pound guys. Like, he looks like a 300-pound guy.
He looks like like an NFL center that cut weight. Like, that's what he looks like. Like, he looks like he's athletic in the shoulders and the legs, but, like, he's got an inner tube on his body because... And in, like, the NFL, you need the weight to set an anchor. In the UFC, you do not need that.
No. Well, and especially it's Almeida, who's like the antithesis of that. He's built like a fucking Greek god.
And I'm saying, like, you don't need an anchor in the UFC because, like, everyone has to weigh 265. Like, you can't fight a guy that's 320. A nose tackle can't be 340 trying to drive you back. He's 265.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure, bro. Almeida gets the rear naked choke, got the takedown, kind of straight into a 3/4 mount, took the back.
Romanov's choke defense is my favorite choke defense of all time. Neck fat choke defense. Because it worked once. It was absurd.
Yeah, no, man.
It's easy to stand up when you have your both arms and both legs, even though you're getting choked.
Ask you just like a question. You can take this in any direction you want to take it. I just want to hear how you answer this question. Like, how are you feeling about Almeida? Like, what's the vibe? What's the projection? What's the hype train coal shoveling level? Like, where are you at? Where are you at with Jailton Almeida? Is this a get right fight? Was this a feeding? Just where are you at with Jailton and just heavyweight position? You can take that in a power ranking like direction if you want. You can take it in a ceiling or floor direction. How are you feeling about Almeida right now?
I don't love it, man. Like, here's how I look at it: is he's getting the loser of Pavlovich Volkov, which is happening soon-ish, like a month, right? It's Riyadh.
I didn't know that. That's kind of sick. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's co-main event Pavlovich Volkov of Riyadh fight card, which is early June 22nd. That's the Hamzat card. And then
okay, that's sick. That's sick.
And then August 11th, you have the Abu Dhabi card, which is also very good. That's like the Cheeto card. Anyway, I think that loser of Pavlovich Volkov fights Almeida next. Volkov probably the loser of that, in my opinion. I think Volkov Almeida makes sense. 5 versus 7. Volkov loses, probably falls to 7. Almeida probably moves up to 6, so then you get 6 versus 7. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, man.
And totally different stylistic prep. Like for Almeida, like we never get to see him fight an only striking heavyweight. So in Volkov, that would be interesting.
That's why, like in my power ranking, I have Almeida at 5.
Yeah,
I have Cyril Gane at 6.
Yeah,
because I think he would run through Cyril Gane.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Almeida that he had to fight Blades because that's the one guy that counters his skill set better than anyone else in the division.
Like, and I might even like him in the Volkov matchup. I mean, according to my power rankings, I do.
Oh, I love him in the Volkov matchup. I think Pavlovich might be kind of tough for him because, like, Pavlovich is just so
I'm
fucking
still high
powerful.
on Pavlovich.
Yeah, he's so like just because Aspinall's so fucking good doesn't mean Pavlovich is bad.
That's where I'm at. I think that was more of a feather in the Aspinall cap than it was like Pavlovich got exposed or fraud checked. Like, I think Pavlovich is still probably like if heavyweights are matchmaking themselves, he'll be picked last.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, all things considered, like I think Almeida just like needs to be patient. Let Blades fight Aspinall for the real belt. Let Jones fight Stipe because they're both going to retire. So if he beats Volkov, like, what's he in position for? To fight Aspinall, Gane, or Pavlovich? That's a great spot to be in.
Well, he's on Twitter right now calling out Cyril Gane to headline UFC Paris.
Oh my god, dude. He will fucking wreck Gane. Like, that's the worst matchup possible.
I like that, though. I like Almeida for, like shooting a shot, and it makes sense, and it's like that would be the biggest thing for his career.
And actually having IQ in the call-out, like, before Blades, he wasn't doing anything to direct his career. He was just telling the UFC, like, I'm a buzzsaw, put me in. That's not always the best direction.
Like, I like he sees the matchup he wants that'll get him to where he wants to be. And then, he said, Cyril Gane, I'm willing to come and do it in your own backyard.
I might have just had a really big takeaway on Almeida, which is I think the loss to Blades might have been the best possible thing for his career. Because if you saw how much the win meant to him to Romanov, the way he approached the fight, like I think it reinvigorated his like poise for this division.
Agree. That's what I was never really out on him. I mean, after the Lewis fight and the Blades fight, the MMA community as a whole kind of like took their oars out of the water. And like I said, I still had him at 5 even before this fight. I didn't move him up more.
I think it's just tough because like I would like to see him work on his striking a little bit. Like his grappling is so good, man, but like Aspinall's not a guy that you're gonna be able to do that with. John Jones would fucking mop the floor with Almeida. I just think the very top end is very tough for him. But like Gane, Volkov, these guys aren't as hard because stylistically it's very good for Almeida.
Yeah, for sure. And then as far as Romanov goes, I dropped him all the way down to 19 ahead of Robelis to Spain just because I think that, like...
I have Romanov at 25. Like, he's damn near out.
I think that, and maybe I'm still giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think his style would be hard for Despain to deal with.
I agree with you, but I think Despain, like, actually lands one shot and Romanov is just, like, shelling done. Like,
too fat to like overcome.
I think he's like mentally out. That's why I like.
This division's so dog shit. I mean, yeah, I dropped Romanov behind some. Like, I dropped him behind Carl Williams. I dropped him behind Mick Parkin. I feel you as far as Romanov being a guy that's like hard to like believe in and rally behind, but goddamn, the back end of this division's so bad. You got the Dontel Mazes of the world, the Martin Budais of the world. Hell, even Shamil Gaziev is dog shit. Lucas Bresky, Walter Walker, Jamal Pogues. I mean, that back end of heavyweight is a nightmare. And I'll take a has-been over a never was, if that makes sense.
No, I fully agree with you. It's like,
keep it pushing,
dude. Let's keep pushing. Final takeaway from Almeida is, I really love Jailton Almeida. The skill set, being heavyweight, cardio is not a question for him. Like, I think he's the most in shape and athletic heavyweight that there is. He might be the second best grappling heavyweight that there is. I just need to see a little bit more development in the full skill set, man. Like, if he could just learn to strike a little bit, he could be a top 3 guy every week.
You know what I wish? You know what my real hope for his career would be? Like, best case scenario? And I doubt he'll do it. He seems to be a guy that's like pretty entrenched in. No. I'm kind of past that, especially now he's packing on.
Well, he is packing on pounds. I said that. You heard that in the breakdown, obviously.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
To go from 224 to 241 and still look shredded, he's doing it right.
He is doing it right. I'll say this, though. You know what gym I want to see him at? And it even has the Brazilian ties, would fix the striking.
Shootbox?
I keep giving you clues. Up in Dansbury, Connecticut with Glover and Alex.
Dude, that would be so good. If he could learn striking from Poeton, holy fuck.
Brazilians, right? Because I think he is loyal. He doesn't speak English.
He's full Brazilian.
Identifies as Brazilian, right? So I don't think he's going to go to ATT or some super American gym. But I think the smaller gym with Glover and Poatan, some countrymen, they could speak in Portuguese. They got the striking, the grappling. I think it would benefit Poatan too. If I could wave my magic wand.
Yeah.
If I could wave my magic wand, I think that would be best for all parties involved.
Bro, Poatan's not an idiot either. I could see him calling Almeida and being like, hey, come practice with us.
That would be sick, dude. That would be sick. He doesn't strike me as some I need to be in LA or Miami, glitz and glamour kind of guy.
He just wants to be with Brazilians. Clearly.
Yeah.
You're so right. That's a good takeaway that he just wants to be in a comfortable Brazilian camp. Put him in Dansbury, man.
Yeah, because Shoot the Box has the smaller guys, the 55ers, the 45ers. I don't know how many bodies he'd have to go.
Well, bro, and Glover is great at jiu-jitsu and striking, but not really wrestling. And Poatan is the best striker at 205, but not the best wrestler. It's he's okay at anti-wrestling. But, dude, Almeida could teach them both, the wrestling, and they could teach them the striking.
Yeah, I think that would be sick. That just kind of hit me in the moment, but I want to see that happen for all parties.
That would be the best move for his career. But, yeah, let's keep it pushing to the, I guess, featured
middleweights.
Which I kind of had a problem with this being the featured prelim, if I'm being honest, versus, if it's not Almeida Romanov, what are we doing? That being said, we have another Almeida. We have middleweights.
I think Dana hates Almeida, too. I think that's another part of it.
Yes, Jailton, yes. 100% that he hates that style. But, respect Jailton because he wins. But middleweights, Roman Kopylov plus 100, taking out Cesar Almeida minus 120. AI loved Cesar Almeida for the KO TKO, and it should have loved Kopylov because, god damn, man, he got so close 3 different times.
Hey, I didn't bet it, but I did stick to my guns, and I still picked Kopylov on verdict. I was on Kopylov. I picked him 1 star, but I did pick Kopylov. I didn't bet it. So I puffed out my chest too hard.
I want to make the note, just before we get into the breakdown, Almeida has a crazy chin. Crazy chin. He took three fight inning strikes from Kopylov, and Kopylov has power. We've seen that plenty of times. Almeida was just fucking eating some of those shots.
Agreed. Super impressive.
I gave him round 2, but I didn't give him any other round, and round 2 was a stretch for me to give him.
To your credit, round 2 was the closest round, the hardest round to score. I still gave it to Kopylov, but I'm not mad at you. I have it in my notes Almeida won the first half of the round on the feet, but he had no big moments. Because I feel you, Kopylov, that's the round where Kopylov got 0 damage.
Kopylov had no damage. That was my only problem, was that he took a bunch of damage and then took him down and legit got warned by Herb Dean 4 times to do something.
Yeah, I feel you. It was ultra snoozy. I don't think did enough on the feet in the first half of the round to get me to forget. Because I'll give a guy a round. I'll give a guy a round who wins on the feet but spends the last couple minutes on his back. I'll give a guy a round for that. But there has to be something to stand out, something to make me remember. After I just watched you on your back for 2 minutes and I'm scoring at the end of the round, there has to be a moment that makes me harken back. A cut, a knockdown.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the glaring inactivity from Almeida on bottom made you more likely to give round 2 to Kopylov? Had Almeida been fighting to get up, do you think it would have been easier to score that for him? Because he really didn't try to get up was my biggest problem in round 2.
I've talked about it before, the weighted grades on the end of a round as opposed to the beginning of a round. I think if Kopylov does that same exact takedown, in minutes 2 and 3 as opposed to minutes 4 and 5, I probably don't score him the round. I think there's something to be said about getting the takedown and you guys don't get up until the ref stands you both up. There's something to be said for that.
Yes, but we do always talk about having control and doing nothing with it. And then damage is the number 1 overall scoring criteria.
But that's my point, is what damage did Almeida do? I get it. He landed more strikes and was winning the striking battle. Those are 2 different questions. No cuts, no swelling, no knockdowns, no wobbles, no staggers.
He had him a little wobbled at the start of the second.
Okay, all right.
There was like a time where Kopylov landed like a hard hook, and it was like, oh damn, and then Almeida immediately was like, could eat the hook and answer back, and then Kopylov like got rocked, stepped back, tried to keep distance, whereas the whole rest of the fight he was keeping the pressure on him. So at that point I realized like, oh, that hurt him.
Dude, you know what I liked about Kopylov? It's like the exact opposite of what we said about Phil Rowe. Like there was just no doubt. Like there was no.
Yeah, he did not doubt his power.
Quit,
like, and even when he got rocked, he was like, "Okay, I got rocked. Like, just be smart. Like, I'm still gonna win this." And also, we got to talk about Kopylov did not shoot a takedown in the UFC until this fight, and I think he shot 9 times in this fight. Fight IQ.
He had one. I think he had one takedown in his career before this. I think I saw that.
Yes, fair.
But to your point, I think he has like 5 or 6
But
fights.
I think the takedown he got was not like it was he stuffed a takedown and then reversed it into his own, if that makes sense. Like I don't think he shot an offensive takedown going into this fight. In this fight, he shot for it 8 times and had 9 takedowns. Yeah,
no, he showed another level to his game, which he trains in Dagestan. So I think like we've always thought that
fight IQ through the roof. Like I actually thought this actually like I put Kopylov up much higher in my rankings because he actually showed like he understands the threats of the fighters he's fighting and clearly is studying film and like fighting with a game plan. And I reward that a lot.
That's a really good point. I struggled in power ranking Kopylov because like I think guys like Andre Muniz could be like a bad matchup for him. But maybe not. Like I don't know. Like how good is Kopylov? Like how high did you put him? I struggled. I still don't know. I'm looking at my rankings now, and I kind of disagree with my own rankings. Like I have him at 24. I have him above Kelvin Gastelum, but like I have him behind Muniz and Craig and Ruzboyev, and I kind of don't agree with that. I might need to rearrange that. Like,
oh no, I have him at 23. Like we're in the same spot. Like I think stylistically, there's certain fights he wins. But until I can see him defend a grappling heavy offense, I'm not going to fully put my win in the sails.
All right, this will be a fun little segment, especially since we've reached the end of the episode here. A little seg real quick, some late night segs. Power rank these 4 names. Just these 4 names. And this is I like legit need help with this. This is what I'm struggling with this. Ruzboyev, Paul Craig, Roman Kopylov. 4-man power ranking. I swear to God, it's like a riddle. Like,
all right.
I'm higher on Kopylov than all those guys, but I feel like he's a bad matchup with those guys.
From bottom up, I'm gonna go Craig bottom. I'm gonna go Muniz, but Muniz and Craig are like essentially interchangeable. I don't care which one you put at the bottom there, but they're 3 and 4. Who was the other guy?
Ruzboyev.
Oh, right. I have Ruzboyev slightly ahead of Kopylov, but I think that's a really fun fight.
You know what? I think I'm going to jump Kopylov over Ruzboyev. Just remember
it's okay. Like I don't have a problem with it, but Ruzboyev wasn't middle or welterweight. You got to remember that. Like he did suck a lot of weight for that. Like I think Ruzboyev at middleweight. But that wasn't my
problem. Remember our biggest complaint with Ruzboyev was just how simple his approach was. And he kept just spamming the same combination. Like, Kopylov could figure that out.
Maybe.
And if Kopylov figures that out... Oh, you said maybe? Okay.
Maybe. I think Kopylov is smart enough to figure out, like, glaring, like, game plan strategies. I don't see him making a lot of nuanced adjustments.
Man. Because Ruzboyev got outstruck by Buckley. Technically... But Buckley's better than Kopylov. We both agree that
I think Buckley's very good.
You would power rank it top to bottom: Ruzboyev, Kopylov, Muniz, Craig.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm rolling with it. I needed help there. I asked for help. Nothing's worse than the guy that asks for help and then doesn't take the advice. So I'll roll with you on that. So
and it's just like,
sorry if you can hear Holly losing her shit in the back.
You know, it's just like Kopylov is like, you know, he beats Punahele Soriano, he beats Claudio Ribeiro, he beats Josh Friend, all KOs, and it's like, yeah, those all like make sense as the guys are going to strike with him. Loses to Anthony Hernandez because he has to grapple a fight, and Hernandez is like a super creative grappler that has like.
And that's why I struggled with the Muniz power ranking, because Muniz reminds me of Hernandez. Like they fight kind of similarly.
I agree, but I don't think Muniz has the striking to be able to allow himself the entries that Hernandez is able to get. Because his striking
Or
is
like
good
the
enough.
dog. Like Hernandez is a fucking dog.
And Hernandez's chin is crazy good. Yeah, all that said, man, it's like I love Kopylov. I think he's a really good dog. But he's kind of like the Kevin Holland of 85. And I think Kevin Holland beats him at 85.
I do too. But like he's also still pretty young. Like I think in 2 years we get like I don't think we have any like what
Well,
I'm
he's
saying
33.
is like I don't. That is you're right. I didn't
But
realize
he just turned 33 like this month. But still.
But here's my point. I don't think that there's any, or at least I'll make a point. Tell me if you agree or not, and we can keep it pushing. But like, there's nothing I'm really out on about Kopylov. I just think he has a lot of unanswered question marks. Like, I don't think he has any boxes with X's in them, but he has boxes with blanks in them. Like, I don't think we know for sure what he cannot do, things that he sucks at. I just think that he still has a lot of like questions to answer, and like I mean, this was his hardest fight of his career, and he passed with flying colors. We also got to factor that in, right? I mean,
you know what I think I'm going to put for my notes next to Kopylov is outside 25 win, inside top 15 loss, 25-15 no bet. Like for rankings in the division, because I think that's fair.
I agree with you.
Like I think that's fair. I think anyone 15 and up middleweight probably can beat Kopylov by our power rankings. I think anyone outside 25 can definitely lose, and I think anything 16 to 25 is right. Like that goes either way.
And there's variables within that because like mainly because of age and just not that high on him. I could see Kopylov beating a Dolidze. I could see Kopylov even beating a Piper.
Oh yeah,
But I could see him struggling with a Bo Nicholas, struggling with a Kevin Holland, struggling with a Hermanson,
struggling with a Hernandez.
Maybe I have Hernandez way higher. That's the thing we've always.
Well, he lost to Hernandez, but I'm just saying like that is a fight where he obviously struggles because of the styles.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, like I could see him potentially going with a guy like Vettori on any given night. Right on any given night.
I think Vettori overcomes him over time.
You're right, because Vettori has the cardio and he has that crazy chin, which Kopylov's best weapon is his power. You're right. But that's
what I mean is like, if you want to tell me that Kopylov's 15 for the rest of his life, okay, fine. But if you want to tell me he's 10, no, there's definitely 12 guys better than him. But if you want to tell me he's 20, he could get to 15. Like, that's kind of how I feel about him.
God damn it. I wish Kopylov was 29 instead of 33.
I know, dude. It sucks because, like, this is his prime. Like, his prime is probably top 13, but it's probably not higher.
Yeah. Like, if the same exact guy was 28, because you have, like Cannonier's 39. He's going to age out soon.
Right.
Izzy's not that old, but he's, only a couple of fights left. He's been pretty honest about that.
If Kopylov could be 33 in 3 years, he'd be in the best spot of all time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Usman's getting older. Guys like that. Dolidze's 35. Hermanson's 35. But, like, when you're 33, you can't really wait to age out the 35-year-olds, right?
Yeah, no. Like, what are you waiting on? You're waiting on for your 9 months opportunity window? Like, you're not going to get enough done.
And then as far as Almeida go, real quick, I dropped him down to 35. I put him behind Shara Bullet. Reminds me a lot of Shara Bullet, but like Shara Bullet's younger, he's undefeated, like he's from Dagestan,
and probably more athletic and explosive too. So like can probably get off the ground better than Almeida. Like honestly, Almeida, I'm giving the Despain treatment. Like if you fight a grappler, dude, I will not pick you. I will not.
He's literally middleweight Despain, both the age, background. I mean everything.
And honestly, as I was watching this fight happen and losing my bet, I fucking felt that so hard in my chest. It sucked.
PTSD from the Robellis bet?
No, I swear to God. Like, I literally was like, oh my God, how many kickboxers am I going to fucking fall for?
But that being said, like, I still have Almeida above Oleksiejczuk. Like, I think a guy like Oleksiejczuk...
Stylistically, yes, because Oleksiejczuk won't be smart enough to get the takedown. However, Oleksiejczuk, more well-rounded mixed martial artist, just not smarter.
And we'll strike with it, and we'll throw wide punches where, like Almeida can counter.
someone like Hafez could come up and beat Almeida based on styles. Like, that's literally how I feel about it. Like, a Sean Brady could come up and beat Almeida. Just because, like, if you're...
Sean Brady. God damn it. I bet my left nut.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, small, even 170s, like, that look like bigger 170s would beat
but
this
you're
guy
right.
because they can grapple.
I think this will actually illustrate your point potentially better, even though it sounds douchey to say, but fucking, like, Andre Petrosky, not high on him, but matches up great with Cesar Almeida.
Yes, or Horsemeat Rodriguez beats the shit out of Almeida.
Well, Vieira
beats the shit. That's actually the fight they should make, is Almeida Vieira.
That's a pure striker versus pure grappler. Take it back to 1993. Yeah, let's get it. But yeah, man, that wraps up the prelim segment. I mean, I don't know. You got any closing statements here?
No, man, just an underwhelming card. 303 also looks tough on my teeth, but 304, we're getting back to it.
We'll hit you with the Cannoneer Mavov fight night betting episode here in a couple of days. I'm not fully done with my breakdown yet. I've looked ahead a little bit. Also, we're going to switch up our kind of method on the Beefy bets. We're going 5 stars. Now, we're doing 1 through 3 stars. I think the 1 through 5 stars is going to provide a little more nuance, make us really decide the fights that we really like versus fights that we just kind of like. Like, I think the difference between a 2-star and a 4-star will be super helpful. Or
it's
even
huge.
A 2-star and a 3-star in the new 5-star ranking.
I couldn't agree more. The 2 and the 4 is the biggest change up because, like, where we used to have 2 stars that we didn't believe in, those are going to be 2 stars still. Where we had 2 stars that we fully believe in, those are 4 stars now. And that's a big difference.
Agreed. Like, I've already, like, just prime example, a little quick look ahead. Like, Montana De La Rosa is fighting Andrea Lee. I am so out on Andrea Lee, and I don't hate Montana De La Rosa, but, like, I think I have De La Rosa as, like, a 4-star, mainly largely due to the Lee faith. Like, I don't think she's UFC caliber. But then, for example, like Daniel Marcos versus John Castaneda, I have Marcos as a 3-star, but, like, Castaneda is a way harder out than Andrea Lee. Like, I'm higher on Marcos than I am De La Rosa, but the level of opponent, like, Castaneda is a harder night out than Andrea Lee. So I still like them both, but that's the difference between a 4-star and a 3-star. Or, like, you know what I mean? We're going to dive into that nuance on the betting episode, but that was just kind of a illustration of that at the top of my notes.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait for this next week's breakdown. Not the best card, but with a 5-star, higher micron level of distinction, hopefully we have a little bit more locked-in bets.
Also have a really weird fight. I know we'll get to it. I just want to, I don't know, just felt like mention it briefly. Brad Katona is fighting a guy who last fought at lightweight. Jesse Butler is a dog shit lightweight, but he's dropping 2 weight classes and fighting Brad Katona at bantamweight. Weird matchmaking.
I'm going to lock Katona for that all day.
Me too. Yeah. Okay, I have that as a 4-star currently. Yeah. I have Jesse Butler, I shit you not, as my 95th ranked lightweight. Bro. Dropping 2 weight classes. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know what the number is yet, but I'm all over Katona.
Even if he's walking around at 170 and barely cutting to 155, that's going to be the hardest cut of his life, 135.
Classes. Dropping 2 weight classes, and he was dog shit at the weight class he was good at. Like,
yeah,
he was a dog shit lightweight.
That is a desperation move. Lock Katona. But that will wrap it up.
Cody Stamen coming back. He got re-signed. Cody Stamen taking on Taylor Lapilus.
Was he 39?
Weird matchmaking there. But appreciate everybody watching. We'll get you a betting episode probably about Wednesday or so. They said not in the green betting wise, but, like, what is it? 73% on the picks. Like, not mad at it. We just got to pick our spots better, which I think the 5-star system will help us accomplish. But thanks for watching. Thanks for everybody that watched our shorts this week. Good week on the shorts, like 1,200 views or something on the shorts this week. So appreciate y'all supporting that. Yeah, check us out on Twitter at Beefy Breakdown, on Instagram at Beefy Boys Breakdown. We'll be back with the Beefy Bets here in a couple of days. Appreciate you, everybody.
Yes, sir. See you guys next week.